Welcome to episode 163. Today I'm joined by Carolina Montanez, the National Sales Manager at Plain to Sea International, which is an Australian-owned and operated international freight forwarder based in Sydney. Plain to Sea was founded by four friends who wanted to do things differently and create a better experience for their clients. Now, 15 years on, the business continues to focus on building strong, long-lasting relationships with their clients, their suppliers, and their employees. In this conversation, Carolina shares the story of how the business got started, what helped them build such a strong culture, why simplicity, communication, and trust have become such an important part of their success. There's a lot here for small business owners, especially if you're growing a team and you want to create a workplace where people feel supported, empowered, and connected. Welcome, Carolina.
Thank you very much, Karen, for the invitation.
Thank you. It's great to have you here. And you have such an interesting story about how your business started. So I'd like to start with that. Can you give us a bit of an overview?
Well, the short version and probably the most interesting version is me and my three girlfriends were working on a company, and we have an amazing working relationship for years. I was probably the latest addition to that group of friends. Unfortunately, or fortunately now, looking back, that company went under. So we all lost our jobs, and we were very naive, thinking that we could have stayed together. So we started to look for a job where they will hire four people, which he was like, yeah, okay. And just out of the blue, just decided to maybe do it for ourselves, because we have the person that does operations, the person that does accounting, the person that sales, and the person that does overseas agents. And just one day we just, we don't do it, and the rest is history. We figure it out from there.
And you just had a huge milestone with the business as well.
Yes, we just turned 15 years old, the 2nd of May.
Which is amazing.
If we were in Colombia, we will be quinceañeras. I don't know if you know about that Mexican tradition.
Oh, yes.
So we will have the big party. But 15 years, and it's been amazing 15 years with good, bad, ugly, but still with a very strong team.
Incredible. And I love business stories where it's just, there wasn't really a lot of thought into it, or it was just, or, it was just like this thing that just kind of happened versus, I had this business plan and I identified this in the market. Like I love those types of stories.
Oh, definitely not like that. We knew, we didn't even know that there was a need for a freight forwarder, because we're only like 3,000 of us in here in Australia, or I don't even know the exact name, so the exact numbers, sorry, but definitely we didn't need another freight forwarder, but it was just a passion of ours. And I think that the passion of staying together was stronger than anything else, and to keep working together. So, we didn't even know where to get an ABN number from. We just have to figure it out, and then got to JB Hi-Fi and buy the world's cheapest laptops, which they actually lasted for quite a long time, but and then just get it from there, and the rest is history, like they say.
Yeah, absolutely. 15 years, it's it's not a small thing in business, and obviously part of the growth of that over that time has been that you've got a team. So can you tell us a bit more about that? What does your team look like? What does growth for the business look like for you now?
Well, we always have in our mind that we want to keep things for our clients as simple. So we identify that our clients don't want to deal with a million people at the same time, because sometimes, and a lot of new clients that we have coming on board, the main reason they come in is because they want to simplify the international freight movement. And sometimes with big organizations, you have a person that does so little that you end up talking to 15 people about something that could be in 2 or 3. So we have a very, very simple organization. We literally have our sales and customer service and our operations department, and that's all. That's all we need. So when a client comes on board, obviously talks to me first about what the expectations are, the prices, the options. Then it goes through our customer service process, which they get up to date on what's happening, is being loaded, is arrived, and then that's when we split into air freight, less than container loads, and full container loads, and that person will take the client into the journey of getting the actual delivery, and then we will have our accounts that's all the invoicing. So that's as simple as it gets for us.
Just trying to keep things not complicated, which I imagine is difficult, especially at the moment with the global situation.
Yes.
So
yes, it is. Unfortunately, with our industry, we depend on a lot of people that we can control. And at the moment, with the current climate, economic and social and political circumstances, those are factors that really, really affect us and our clients. But for us, information is key. So we're just trying to keep everybody as informed as possible. Since the war started, my phone is and our phones haven't stopped because everybody's being affected with the changes of the fuel. So it's just much more communication with the client and giving them options. We're huge on giving options based on what the delivery deadlines are.
And so I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but I just wanted to, before I forget, come back to the workplace culture, because obviously starting as 4 of you who had already worked together, but that's pretty easy, right? Like you already know what you're getting into. So how has it been for you in that process over 15 years of actually having teams and building a culture?
I think that for us, building the teams have been a natural progression. We haven't. We are very mindful of our culture, and we are happy to wait until the right person comes to fit in our culture. Sometimes at the moment, for example, one of the biggest changes that we did was to actually move the office, and that happened about 11 years ago, where we decided to move from Banksmeadow to be close from the port, because nowadays we don't need to be close to the port, but we realized that all our team members were traveling about 40 minutes in and 40 minutes out, because we are all like from the Sutherland Shire. So the decision was made that the office will move, and that opened a huge possibility for us to actually provide work for moms in the Sutherland Shire. And I must say, moms and the moms that we have, they're probably the hardest workers that you could ever ask for, because of the limitation that they have with their times. They come at 9 o'clock, and it's just like from 9 till 2, those keyboards don't stop. And we're glad to have them, because they're very, very hard workers. So it's more of a way that we have found our staff, our members, just purely by connections. We have somebody's son coming in and working with us, and now he's a major part of the operations department. We have 2 moms that they were just contacts from daycare that they were looking for work, and one happened to have experience in freight forwarding. The other just came from a finance background, but has been an amazing addition to the accounting team. So we have been growing at our own pace, and just making sure that any job can be taught, but not every person could be the right person for that seat. And the same, we have had amazing people that have come, and unfortunately they have moved on for one reason and another. So that's been just the experience of having people coming and going. But we can proudly say that the latest addition to our team member, I think that we're on 7 years.
Yeah, wow.
So everybody is 7 years and above from the 15 years.
Yeah, amazing.
So that's
And I think that's great, because that's how you've you've really worked out, well, what's our niche? And so let's get people that live locally, need flexibility, and that idea that, yeah, we're hiring for the right behaviors and personality, and we teach the skills. It takes some people a long time to work that
A lot of
out.
patience, a lot of patience. We've been so lucky to have, as I said, somebody's son come in, and he started in our air freight department, and now he has a wide knowledge of all the operations. And we have somebody like Diana that came with a freight forwarding background, so she already knew the basics, or what it needed to be done, but her attention to detail and her ego to work and help the clients it was more important to us.
And you talk a lot about like the simplicity of the business, but also how you keep your customers informed and really doing the right thing by the customer. And you mentioned before about communication. So how do you translate that sort of transparency and real-time updates to your customers? What does that look like externally, and then do you do that internally as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think that we prefer to over communicate. We are still very old fashioned, where we prefer the old phone call. Yes, email is important. Everything that is discussed with the client is put on an email to have a record of. But still, we have the day-to-day connections, and that's why probably I spend way too much time on phone calls. But we have. That's where we think that we are different than any other companies, where sometimes other freight forwarders, they just throw you on a website, on a web tracking, and don't talk to us. Well, we are the opposite. We want you to talk to us, because we need to know what your needs are, what your delivery deadlines are, what the restrictions are. We do deal with a lot of projects that need to be arriving as close as possible as the when they need it. So communication is being just a key fundamental, and it's something that we ask every single one of our team members, just to I always say, to cuddle the client. Each client needs to be taken on a journey when we get that little piece of their cargo to move, and we just need to make sure that we show him what we do and how we do it. So and that's the only way to do it, being transparent and over communicate with them.
And I imagine if you're doing that with your customers, then that translates into how you communicate internally.
Absolutely.
As well, and you're cuddling your employees, metaphorically speaking.
Sometimes I cuddle them, and like when something goes really, really wrong, especially when not everybody is the same. That's why we all have different people. But sometimes I can feel it when I get extra excited, and I just go on with all my energy, and they're like, yeah, settle. Because that's why I probably I do the role that I do, because I'm just more out there than any other any of our other team members. But we're one big community. There's nothing that is we don't keep discussions or push discussions. Everything is up for an open forum. We have our office that pretty much the operations department is in the middle, and accounts and sales are around it. So if there is a problem, you will hear me and or Anthony just come into the floor and say, what do you guys think, and put it back to the operators, and it becomes like an office discussion almost sometimes, when everybody puts their comments, and we make sometimes collective decisions. Everybody knows what they're doing, but obviously there's always stuff that we need to run by everybody, and sometimes what I think is not what it should happen, and they give me a different perspective, especially when I don't know if that happens in all the companies, but there is that constant sales and operations friction, because sales over promise, and operations can do it, or the other way. But I think that we work really hard on trying to eliminate that barrier, where we just open the communication for everybody. And sometimes the operators give me their point of view, and is completely valid from operations. I just need to translate it to the client on a sales page that is understandable.
Yeah, excellent. And I imagine, I could be wrong here, the work that you do can be quite stressful.
Oh, no. It's like the park. We understand For us, we understand that we are unfortunately, I see freight forwarding like those 500-meter runs that they do in the Olympics with the little torch that they
Yes.
pass in the torch. We're literally the last ones to get the torch and then needs to get it
Yeah.
to the front line. So sometimes we have some hot potatoes and anything could happen.
Yes.
Again, because we don't control the aircrafts, we don't control the vessels, we don't control the war. So, but we understand the responsibility because we work with small and medium-sized companies. So we understand how sometimes we move people's livelihood and we don't take that lightly.
So how do you manage stress in the team if there's like something that's just completely out of your control? And obviously the war is an obvious one recently because that wasn't really seen as something that was going to happen. So I'm sure there's some pretty high stress moments in the office.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that for our team, we are just gear up on a way that we put the client's delivery deadlines first, and we, as I said, we understand how important is the job that we do for them, and we going back to we just communicate. If there is a problem, if anything happened, I have had clients that are called late at night, or well, normally I text them.
Yes.
Kind of
So if
call.
you can call,
And I have clients the same that they call me. I have clients that have called me on Christmas Day. Just because it's that urgent or just because something is happening. And that's part of why we have a very flat organizations, because we have people available pretty much almost 24/7 that are able to make decisions.
Yeah.
And they have the experience to do so. So sometimes I may call a client the following day saying, well, last night this happened and I did this and it's fixed, but you just needed to know that that's what happened last night. But especially when you move stuff coming or cargo out of Europe and the States, where the time difference is so tricky, we may need to make decisions just so we don't waste another 24 hours on that. And that is particular obviously on all the medical on the medical companies that we handle, because it's very it's very restricted on the time that we have to waste just to meet those delivery deadlines.
So it sounds like your team members as well need to be quite autonomous and be able to make decisions too. So how do you empower? How do you give people, that known permission that they can make
decisions? I think that, well, obviously we're lucky that, as I said, because we have had quite a long list of members that have been there with us for a while. Obviously, yes, when you come in on board as well, you need to learn the ropes, so you have your training wheels for a while. We've been very lucky that the people that we have come on board that has no idea about freight have picked it up really, really quickly. But at the end of the day, we have empowered everybody and we trust everybody. And yeah, there's times where they do something and it's not quite right. So we talk about it, we fix it, and we move on. And when we have teach our team members that if you don't make a decision and for some reason doesn't work, we still need to come forward with the client and say, yeah, well, we thought this was going to be the outcome and it wasn't, but we're doing this to help you out, to compensate. So that transparency on doing the right thing, but also when you don't do the right thing, I think is what makes believe our clients and staff that they can actually do stuff. They can make decisions without being. We just definitely don't believe in micromanaging anybody because it's too hard. We have so many files coming through everybody's desks every day that if we were to sit down and check every single one of them, is impossible.
You probably wouldn't have a business anymore.
No, exactly. You have to trust the process and trust the process that we have designed, and we trust our processes. And if something is out of that process, we tackle it as soon as possible collectively.
It sounds to me as well that if a team member did make a mistake, you're not jumping down their throat and saying, look, how dare you, because that's when you do that, that's when people then won't make decisions again.
Exactly.
In future.
Exactly. I think that we have all made decisions, bad decisions. We have all, and in business, any bad decision is equals dollars.
Yes.
And that's when we have to, yes, obviously there's small ones that you're like, okay, well, that's, and they have been bigger ones where we have to just communicate with everybody. And I think that once somebody gets stuck, I think because we can communicate so openly, sometimes you make a decision, but we just open it again as a forum just to reinforce you can come forward and yeah, you're right, that's absolutely what I would do, or have you thought about this and that, and then make a decision together. And if a mistake is made, we just learn from it and move forward.
Yeah. Now, you've spoken a lot about communication, so it's obviously it's great because that is, and I was a guest on someone else's podcast this week actually, we were talking about communication because it's something that a lot of people think that they do a lot, but then when you really dig in, all the people saying, no, like, you're not communicating with me, because it solves so many problems, and you're a perfect example of that, of how it just helps in so many different ways. And so with that in mind, you said you work with a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. So how do you teach them about international freight? 'Cause I'm sure you get clients come through the door that really, like, they've never done this before.
And actually, those that is their first ever experience with freight, those are my personal favorite. I have and I never get tired to mention her. I have a client that contacted me while she was on maternity leave, and long story short, I think that she was made redundant or something happened, and she knew that she wasn't going to come back, and she just started one night. Well, she was probably breastfeeding, I don't know, looking for options, and she actually sent me a message on Facebook, and I said, look, I know nothing about freight, but I know that I need a freight forwarder, and those are my personal favorite ones because you see the growth. And with this particular person, I walked the road with her from her first box to her first pallet to her first air freight to her first container, and see that growth. And we have seen a lot of those in our time. That's what for me personally is a motivator for me. When you have somebody that comes to us and has no idea about international freight, I normally I normally talk with clients a lot, like it's like when you travel overseas. So you are the cargo is the same. We take in, I think that is somebody that I help, and she got the joke, which she was quite good, because we were doing she was doing a plush toy for her brand, and it's a beautiful plush toy, and we started talking about this plush toy becoming a person, almost a person. So I was the person that I told her, she's just coming on a cruise, so she's just being on a vessel, and she's just having the time of her life. And every time that we talk about it, now that the plush toy is everywhere, she actually we think of like, what if we did actually a video of her being born and being on a vessel. And I just think that international freight is not difficult. It's just a journey of your cargo traveling from one point to the other, and explain all the checkpoints that you need to have. So once they, and I always said the first one is the hardest. It's like your first baby. We just need to, you're going to have a million questions, and a lot happen. And I would say probably 80% of the time the first shipment does not go smoothly, but then we can improve from here. And again, just going back to simplify things, because I was actually listening to a podcast on the way here, and they were talking about that. They were talking about the acronyms that we have in our industry. Every industry has it, but I can't go to a client expecting them to know it. So I just need to put it on normalize it, so they feel at ease to come in the journey with us.
Yeah, I love it. And I love it when you speak about international freight. Your whole face lights up.
It is. It's pretty much what I did. I was born in Colombia, and I got imported into Australia, and they just didn't want to send me back. Some of the girls in the office say, well, we didn't know that it was explosive, so we were coming. But I do have a lot of passion, and I think that when you see a company like Plain to See from day one is our baby. So it's extra points on that.
No, I love it. So my last question that I like to ask all of my guests is, what's one thing that you wish you knew earlier about running or business or leading a team?
Definitely how to manage stuff. I think that we have all the process and all of that, but for me personally, just managing expectations on and managing the stuff and all the stuff that you need to know legally. In Australia, for me, obviously not being Australian born or Australian educated, I came here to do my master's, but I did it in marketing, so I have no idea. And learning that is so important. But learning how to communicate with them, and we have amazing people within the organization that know and have the ability to communicate with the staff. I wish that there was like a course. This is what you need to know about handling people. Because
the problem is that every person is so different.
It's so different, and everybody is motivated in a different way. And when you tell one person may be looking for that pay rise, one person may be just having the ability to have more time with the kids. So I would probably like to know a little bit more about stuff. As in a staff member, not stuff.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Well, people can contact us via our website. We are doing a huge push on our socials, so LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. LinkedIn is my personal favorite. So you can just find us on those links, and as well on my mobile, on my email address. All the information is on the website.
Great. Yes. And we're going to put all those links into the show notes so that you can also get in touch with Carolina and the team at Plain to See. So for those listening, if you received value from this episode, I would love it if you leave a rating or a review over Apple Podcasts or Spotify so someone else can also find the episodes to help with their business. Episodes released on Mondays. So click subscribe and you'll be notified of when that's available. If you have any feedback, questions, or ideas for future episodes, head on over to amplifyhr.com.au or connect with me on LinkedIn and we can start a conversation. Thanks so much, Carolina.
Thank you, Karen.